Welcome, Sonny Strait, to the Anime Dad podcast.
Hi, how you doing?
Very, very well, and thank you for making the time. It is such a privilege for you to have you on, and you
And
are.
it's a privilege to be on.
Thank you. You're definitely a bit of an idol of mine and my daughters and a lot of our fans. So that's great. How's your day going, Sonny?
Oh, as good as it can be, doing the taxes at the last minute like I always do.
Last minute is the best because then you just get it done. It's on your mind, you just get it done, and your anxiety and adrenaline helps you
I should
get
have done it
through.
months ago.
Right, right, right. Okay, so Sunny, for those people who live under a rock and don't know you or who you are, what anime characters are you best known for?
Well, I don't think you have to live under a rock not to know who I am. Voice actors people don't recognize the voice actors as much as they recognize their characters. But the characters that you probably would recognize from me, Krillin from Dragon Ball Z, Usopp on One Piece, which is a very different voice, and I'll argue to my grave about that. Bardock from Dragon Ball Z as well, Koro-Sensei from Assassination Classroom, Maze Hughes from Full Metal Alchemist, Joker on Fire Force, Apachai Hopachai from Kenichi, World's Mightiest Disciple. What tons. Oh, Lupin the Third. I've been in the business 25 years, so I've done a lot of voices.
Wow, 25 years. And what I know you probably don't have a favorite, but what has been your top three or or one of your favorite to voice
You
act?
know, Krillin was my first favorite, but it's also my first role. And then I started playing Usopp, and Usopp wasn't my favorite at first, but there's a scene in Water 7 where he gets money stolen from him. He's beaten to death and he's humiliated and angry all at the same time. And he was crying. And as I was recording it, I was crying. And I just like made this huge connection with this character that I thought was just, comedic relief. And suddenly he became my favorite character because he's the first. I've been acting since 1979, and I never really cried real tears over any character but that one. And that being said, he was my favorite for a few years until I played Koro Sensei on Assassination Classroom. And it's just so me that it's just hard not to appreciate it. So now Koro Sensei is my favorite one now. So I guess it'd
Cool.
be Koro, Usopp, Krillin, and then a lot of people fighting for the rest of the top five.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, you've got some similarity with Kuro-sensei's smile, actually. That smile is similar, the big, nice big
I also have
smile.
a big round head.
um, oh, I love it. While you were in that voice, could you potentially say, "Hi, I'm Kuro-sensei, and welcome to the Anime Dad podcast"?
Hi, I'm Koro Sensei, and welcome to the Anime Dad Podcast.
Beautiful. Could you do Usopp?
Yeah, I can do Usopp. I can do Usopp all day. Hey, this is Usopp, and you're watching the podcast Dad podcast. Well, I forgot what it was already. What is it? Daddy, podcast me now. Podcast, please. Where's Daddy? We got to do a podcast today.
Oh, well, he's a dad lover himself,
Yeah.
Usopp, even though he doesn't know much of
Although
his
Krillin
father.
actually is a dad, and Krillin doesn't speak so crackly. So Krillin
Mhm.
would say, "It's the what is it called? The
Anime Dad podcast.
Anime Dad Podcast." Hi, it's Krillin, and welcome to the Anime Dad Podcast, where you'll get all kinds of things of like support through sensu beans. Maybe you'll even get to do a destructo disc that lands on something. Be amazing. Listen and find out.
Oh my goodness, you're amazing. That all right. That's it. I'll have a great day. I'll just end the podcast there. You can't beat that high. No, thank you for doing that. That's fantastic. And you think Koro Sensei is in your range, or in
Well,
your
Koro Sensei is probably closest to my own voice.
yeah.
It's a little bit more up here,
Mhm.
and it's also a little more smarmy, which is really close to the Lupin the third voice I used as well. But he's me when I've had enough coffee. His teaching style is very similar to mine. As a matter of fact, I started teaching voice acting the same week I was cast as Koro Sensei, and I found myself saying things in class. I was like, "Oh crap! I just said that as Koro Sensei last week," and vice versa. I'd be like, I just said that in class last week, and now Koro's saying this. So
Are,
it was kind of cool.
are you as fast as Koro-Sensei with your students though? Like, could you Mach 20?
Yeah, they never see me coming.
And I'm gonna have to geek out one more time. Could you? My daughters would be annoyed if you don't say. So Raella is my oldest daughter, and
Raella?
Raella. If you could say in Corey Sensei's voice something about Raella, that'd be freaking appreciated.
Okay, I'm calling roll now. Roll now. Raella? Raella? Say here. Say here. Or don't say here. You don't have to, I'm not going to put any pressure on you. You know, this is a class that I want you to express yourself freely. So Raella, if you want to say here, you can say here. If not, you don't have to.
You're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you, Sonny. That's great. That's going to give me a lot of brownie points as a father. So thank you very much. All right, we'll get into the podcast officially now, just with 10 quick fire questions to get to know you a little bit more. Your fans love you very much and love what you do, and so it's basic questions, nothing incriminating, nothing weird. It doesn't have to be Mach 20. It's never usually quick with the people I talk to, but does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
The incriminating part kind of worried me a little bit, but that's all right.
First thing that comes to your head.
I mean, you're in Australia or New Zealand?
New Zealand. So we're in the South Island of New
New
Zealand.
Okay, so I don't have to worry about jurisdiction if you find something out about me.
No, we're in international waters, basically.
Exactly. Anything goes.
And talking about living under a rock, I basically do. I live in a container house here in the bush. So if I know you and
Your
know you
voice to
well,
me sounds more Australian than New Zealand.
yeah, I'm South African, and my wife is
Oh,
Scottish, and so my voice is strange. It's uniquely
mhm.
strange. I'm not very good at accents either, so I need to do your voice acting course because I I was in the high school production, my high school production, and I had to. It was called Guys and Dolls, and I
Mm.
was Sky Masterson, and we had to throw a line in there saying, "Oh, I just got back from South Africa." For Sky, because I couldn't do an American accent too well. So,
Couldn't
are
do
you,
the New York accent.
no. Are you still running those courses?
Yeah. I don't really focus too much on accents though, but I mean, I could do like private tutoring or stuff like that. I once had a friend of mine. She was from France and she taught English lit,
Mhm.
and she said people had trouble understanding her. So I would listen to her voice and found out where it was a little weaker and gave her memes to read and stuff like that. Like I'm from Texas, and everybody in my family talks like this. Everybody has a real thick Texas accent, and I had that too till I was about 12 years old. And I was like, wait a minute, people on TV don't talk like that. So I had to figure out how to get rid of it. Um, and there are several things that I noticed, like Texans have trouble with the words that rhyme with I, like night and flight. They tend to say night, right, you know.
Mhm.
So before I record, I always say, if I am right, I might have to take a knife on the flight tonight. It's just something I wrote so I could get out of that Texan. And I had my sister read that for me one time, and she read it. If I'm right, I might have to take a knife on a flight tonight. And I was just cracking up. She goes, well, how do you say it? And I said, if I'm right, I might have to take a knife on the flight tonight. And she said, if I'm right, I might have to take a knife on the flight tonight. I'm like, do I sound that way to you? She says, yes, you do.
British, British in a way. When you're with your family, do you revert back to the Texan accent?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I spend more than a couple of days with them, I'm like this by the end of it.
Wow. And have you ever played a character that has a Texan accent in anime?
Yeah, I played. It was a video game actually. Not Borderlands. That was another. I did Borderlands as well. What was it? Battleborn, I think.
Hmm.
Anyway, there was a character. It was a rooster, and they wanted like a Matthew McConaughey kind of thing. But what I gave them is my brother Robert Strait, because Robert's lot more energetic and angry and heroic at the same time. And I just gave him that voice, and somebody recorded it and put it on YouTube, and I posted it and said, "This is my brother Robert's voice through this character," and he listened to it and he said, "That does sound like me."
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that about you. That's quite a cool. Now, I'd
I
like to
wondered
hear.
if that's the way my accent would have progressed had I not gone into acting.
I'm sure it
If
would
I would
have.
have sounded just like my brother.
And I think Usopp would have been okay with a strong Texan accent. I think that would have worked
I don't
out
know.
okay.
Let's see if Usopp could have a Texas accent or not. Well, maybe he could. Wait up, guys.
Of
That
course, he
would
wouldn't
work.
have a slingshot. Then he'd have a shotgun or
Oh yeah, yeah,
AK
yeah. And
47.
his bandana would be red, white, and blue.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that. Okay, what is your favorite
it'd be like
color?
coming in on Kid Rock music backgrounds.
That would work well. And the Sniper King song might be
Having a big old 4x4. Oh, the wind carries my name. Sniper Island, far away.
that actually might improve the show. We have to talk to
I don't
Oda.
know. It's a tough show to improve, but yeah,
No, it is very, very tough.
I would be willing to risk it.
I am in I just got to Wano,
Mm.
and Usopp's got that big beard, and
Hmm.
it's perfect role for him, doing being a little street seller. And doing that
Yeah,
sort of thing and making up his stories. It's a perfect role. And the animation is
and that little
freaking
frog he
insane.
carries around with him.
Yeah, yeah. The animation's crazy good.
Hmm.
Okay, all right. So, quick fire questions. What is your
Okay.
favorite color?
Well, my other job is I'm a comic book artist,
Yes.
and I worked for years as a colorist for ElfQuest, and then I eventually ended up drawing it. But as a colorist, I don't have favorites. It's like whatever color works, for me, and whatever mood I'm trying to establish, or even just like to be in. So
Mm-hmm.
I really can't say that I have a favorite color at all. You
I,
know,
I thought you were
I
going to give me
I
like a hashtag, like the whole number, because you know it so well, like the whole
oh yeah,
0153.
like what the color number is exactly
Yeah,
on the in the code book.
yeah.
Um, no, because we don't have to do that. We don't have to worry about that anymore with Photoshop.
Oh, yeah. True.
We just say this color is what I want, and they take it away.
That's pretty good.
I don't know, man. I mean, I do tend to like things that are closer to a lavender, but not really.
Okay. Favorite type of music?
See, now I'm gonna be boring on that one too, because I like every kind of music. I don't like all music, but I like every genre of music as long as it's good. And
And you,
that's why
yeah.
anytime I had a lot of girlfriends in my life, and every time I was with a new girlfriend, whatever their music was, I would just adopt it because I like all music,
Are you
unless it was just atrocious.
are you a singer yourself? Like you got such a great control of
Uh,
your voice. Can you sing really well?
I have sung quite a bit professionally for Funimation, especially, but I would never call myself a singer. I did sing in a band, but it was a punk band, so I could get away with it. Uh, I have I have no fear. That's the problem. So I'm not afraid to sing. I'm just not very good at it. My wife, however, is amazing at it. That's what I fell in love with first. I went to a friend's house and he was playing guitar and she was singing, and I was just like, God, that's talent.
Oh.
But I've had to sing like the Dragon Ball Z theme for I think it was season 5 of Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Mhm.
Of course, I had to sing the Sniper King song. If I'm singing in character, it's a lot easier, you know. Like I've done a lot of musicals, and if you're being like Sky Masterson,
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for
luck
sure.
be a lady tonight.
Beautiful. Yeah, yeah. You've got the New York accent. I sounded like I was, yeah, just out of South Africa. But no, you've got a
You
beautiful
know why
voice.
it is? New York, I think, is one of the easiest accents for people who are Americans but not from New York.
Mm,
Um, it's just that we grew up on it so much. Like so many of our cartoon characters tend to be New York sounding. As a matter of fact, try not to sound New York a lot of times because it is something I have a tendency to go to.
mm.
Because like Bugs Bunny, even back then he's from Brooklyn. So I try to stray away from it.
Okay, okay. No, I think you've got an amazing voice. And Sniper King is my ringtone, the song. So it has to be pretty good.
Da-da-da-da,
What
da-da-da-da,
What is your
dust.
favorite food? Your favorite food that you would like to eat and enjoy?
Probably chicken masala,
Hmm.
like Indian food.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. I just go with the old plain old
But
butter
it's got to have the
chicken.
naan bread with it too. I got to have at least 2 slices of that naan bread.
Oh yeah,
because I've got to keep this head round for Koro-Sensei.
the garlic naan bread. It's absolutely beautiful.
You're
What is your
making me
favorite
hungry.
town that you've visited? One of your favorite towns?
I really loved Waiheke Island. I don't know if it's really a
Mm.
town,
Mm-hmm.
but when I visited there, I just fell in love with it. And what is it? What is the city right next to it? To
Auckland?
Waiheke? Is it Auckland?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was cool. I also like. I mean, I love Sydney as well. Um, and London definitely on the top of the list. I love New York, but I only love New York in short bursts. Like I don't think I could. I could spend a week, maybe 2 weeks there, and then be done. You know, and then so like luckily, only time ever I go, it's just for a weekend or something for work, and I enjoy it thoroughly when I'm there. Then
Hmm.
um, San Diego used to be one of my favorite cities. I haven't been there in a while. Portland, love Portland, Oregon. Um, yeah, those are the big ones.
Cool. I've never been to America. Have you ever been to Scotland?
No, I want to go though. That's on the list. The closest I came was I went to very northern England, a town called Sunderland.
Hmm.
And I what I found out later is that people in Sunderland are harder to understand than Scottish people are hard to understand. A guy came up to my table and he said, I signed something for him. He goes, "Can I full?" I went, "What? Is can I full?" I went, "You can have four. You can have as many as you want, man." He goes, "No, can I full?" And I went, "What is he saying? Do you know what he said?"
Yeah. Yeah. Can I have a photo?
Yes. I had no idea. He was saying, "Can I have a photo?" He wanted a picture with me. And
Hmm.
I finally figured out that my handler told me what he was saying. And I said, "Listen, even if I gave you all the consonants, vowels, and syllables that you're leaving out, you are still saying, 'Can I have photo?' Which is caveman talk." I said, "People in Oklahoma use more of the English language than you guys, and you guys invented it. You should be ashamed of yourself." Luckily, he was laughing.
Oh, that's great. You actually gave him. You probably like shoving four signed photographs in his chest. Just take it. Just go.
Yeah,
You can
there
have
you go.
four.
You want? Yeah, you get a full. You have full. Get a full.
I love that.
I
I
would
love that.
probably understand him better now because I've been watching a lot of Scottish comedies. Like Still Game is like my favorite show. We love that
Yes.
show.
Oh,
Isn't that great?
it's incredible. They are so funny. I've watched the season, all seasons, like 3 or 4 times, and I tear up at the end every time they show that them getting
Very few
older.
shows do we do that. Do we watch it over and over again? But we will watch that. We was watching it last night. We've watched it for the past 2 years, off and on. We
Oh,
get to the end, we start over. Although my wife won't even let me watch the last season with her anymore. It's too hard for her.
right,
She
right.
doesn't want to see the boys, how they end up. But
No,
also, what's the other shows? What was the one they did before that one?
chewing the fat.
Chewing the Fat. Yeah, that's a good show too.
Yeah.
And also Burniston, love Burniston.
Yes.
Uh, Lemmy Show.
I know that one.
Oh, you got to see Lemmy Show. Lemmy is so funny.
Okay.
Lemmy, Lemmy Show.
Let me show. No,
Mhm.
we've been there a few times just to visit the family. I got married over there in a kilt, and felt quite good.
Right,
But
because you're part Scottish, right?
yeah, my wife is Scottish. All their families over
Wife is
there,
Scottish.
and yeah, we got married over there, and yeah, still game's amazing. It does. I do love Scotland. Walking around and just seeing foxes everywhere is quite cool. It's something I'm not used to
Yeah.
in New Zealand. Okay,
Hmm.
next question. Who's your favorite person in your life right now?
Probably my daughter.
Nice. How old is
And
she?
she just turned 30. Uh, and she helped me out in a convention recently, and she's going to help me out one next weekend as well in San Antonio. But I remember I stopped her at the end. I said, "I'm just so proud of the woman that you've grown up to be." And she said, "I love you so much," and she hugged me. It's just like, ah, it's nothing better than that.
Oh, that's perfect. And I always worry about that because my daughters are 6 and 3, and I always worry about them getting older and not hugging me as much. But
It
but
it happens less, but it's more meaningful when it does.
okay, that's special. That's really special. What is your favorite hobby at the moment?
Ugh, I don't have any hobbies. I guess you could say filling up sketchbooks, but I'm almost always going through them and finding something to create from it.
Mhm.
But it, uh, well, I play guitar badly. That's a hobby.
Yeah, yeah, for
I can
sure.
only play chords, and but I've written a few songs, with it. But I always give it to my more talented friends. Say, here's the structure, make it sound good.
Yeah, because you're such a creative person. I haven't seen much of your guitar work on. You need to check some on your social media.
I don't really show much of it because I'm not that good. But like
Mm.
the other day, on TikTok, somebody asked me if um if I would play Krillin
Mhm.
singing Into the Unknown from Frozen 2. And so I was like, well, let me figure out a way to do that. So if you look under my TikTok, you'll find me playing a guitar and singing along with that.
Okay, I like that. I love that song too. It's a freaking hard song to sing, but it's a good song.
When I started singing as Krillin, I realized why they requested it because it's so appropriate for him.
Okay, I'll
Because
check
he's
it
like
out.
he's especially by Super, he was like done with all this adventure stuff,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Good point. Good point. And then um, going into with the new movie, I forget what it's called. Superhero. Yeah, superhero.
Yeah.
He looked quite different to than he's always done. What is your guilty pleasure? Three more questions. Guilty pleasure.
Hmm. Probably the cheesy TV shows I watch, like the CW. I don't know if you guys get CW, but all of the DC superhero TV shows on television, like Superman and Lois, Stargirl. Oh, and also my latest one is Picard series. It's
Okay.
Captain Picard from the Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Right.
He's got his own show now on Paramount, and season 3, they finally brought back all the characters from the Next Generation, and it is so cheesy, and I love every bit of it. So that's definitely a guilty pleasure of mine.
Cool. Okay, I'll check that out as well. I've got a couple of things to check out after this. Then, a couple of
Mhm.
TV shows.
Definitely watch Lemmy Show. You'll dig it.
I
If
will.
you like those other shows, you will totally love Lemmy Show.
It just relaxes
It's
me.
he's a bit darker, but he's really funny.
Yeah, still game just relaxes me. I would chuck it on when I'm eating. I chuck it on all the time. It just calms me down. And seeing these
Me too. It's like a
old,
zen place.
it is. It is. It's almost like The Office. I'm the Office guy as well. I do like The Office and
The English version,
the English version.
yeah, that's the one I like too.
Yeah,
The American version to me seems too much like a TV show,
yeah,
whereas the English version really seems like a documentary. They
yeah,
really act well as if it's a documentary.
yeah, yeah. No, they work well together. Steve Carell and Ricky Gervais. They just work well. I mean, the way I've seen them together, and they're just incredible together
Yeah.
as well.
It's just that when they did the American version with Steve Carell, they polished it too much.
Yeah,
That made it lose the whole charm of what it was supposed to be.
not as real. Yeah, not as real.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Are
you
you a
could
s-
you feel uncomfortable watching the English Office
yes?
because they really feel like they're being interviewed and they're really saying some stupid stuff that they're regretting as they say it, and you feel their embarrassment.
Yeah,
On the American version, it's just funny.
yeah. Agreed. Agreed. I can watch that over and over again as well. Are you a sweet or savory person?
I'm gonna have to go mostly sweet,
Mhm.
although I do love savory stuff, but I'm a bit of a chocoholic, so
Okay.
I love chocolate. Um, and I get really irritated if there's none in the house. And there's not any in the house right now either. So it's just irritating me.
I'll express some Whitakers over. Whitakers is New Zealand chocolate, so and Whitakers
Ooh,
is quite
okay.
lovely.
You know what I
Like,
really love? Do you
yeah.
guys get Tim Tam over there?
Yes.
Because I had it was in Australia, but I haven't had it in New Zealand. But love that stuff.
Heck yes. Have you now this is a question that is going to change your life. And
Does that have to do with coffee and Tim Tams?
it does. You know it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, when I first had it, they called it the Aussie orgasm. I don't know if you
Okay.
can say that on your show,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
but you bite off one corner and then you bite off the opposite corner and you use it as a straw. You suck up the chocolate in there and you
Reckon
pop it in your mouth and it just melts. And then you go off into another dimension
Mm.
and you're off for like 1,000 years and you come back sunny the white and you go on with your life. It
Yeah.
is such an amazing. experience.
I got goosebumps. You just talking about it there. That's yeah. It's it is very very
It's the
beautiful.
ultimate chocolate experience.
It
I have
really
not found a
is.
better chocolate experience than that.
No, no. Okay, did you get it in America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's only been pretty recently they started selling in America. But when I discovered it 20 years ago in Australia, they didn't have it in America. And I was just like, oh, I'll never have it again. And then like about 5, 6, now maybe 7 years later, they started carrying them even in Walmart. So
Good, good. I'm glad you have it now and you can enjoy it. And final question. It's a very hard one. Are you a dog or a cat person?
very much a dog person, although I love cats, but I'm just allergic to them.
Me too.
I have two dogs who are on their final legs. They are 15 years old. The doctor gave them 3 years. The vet gave them three months to live 5 months ago, and they're still kicking. So it's like a little doggy hospice over here where we're like always like saying goodbye and then they stay around. I actually brought one of them back to life. My wife started screaming and I ran upstairs. This was before we took him to the vet, and she was just still, and I didn't even think about it. I just blew down her snout like CPR and started pumping her chest, and she came back. And I
What?
was just like, what? I didn't know it would work, but I had to try it. And the doctor then a vet, you say doctor, vet gave her some medication for her heart, and she seems to be doing fine now.
Wow. That's
But yeah,
incredible.
I really love my dogs. I will give my dog CPR if
That's
they need it. That's how much I love dogs.
That's amazing. I've got four dogs, and
Uh-huh.
the only problem I have with dogs is they don't live longer because it is the saddest thing in the world when
Hmm.
you lose a dog, and it just hurts you
Because
so
they're like
much.
your children. They're your
Yeah,
children that you outlive, and it's
yeah,
just wrong.
so freaking wrong. Now, yeah, I've got
Hmm.
two French bulldog pugs, so they're called Frugs,
Mm.
and then two Hunter Red
Frogs.
greyhounds. Yeah, they just snore and they've got that snotty nose, and but they're so freaking cute. Um,
Well, the one of the oldest one of the trio, he died a couple of years ago, and he was a chug. It was a Chihuahua pug.
oh, I like
He had
that.
a pug body and a giant Chihuahua head on top. He just looked like king of the Chihuahuas, like a
Oh.
17-pound Chihuahua.
I love that. That's really cool. Okay, so I know you've got things to do, so I don't want to make you got your taxes to complete. But what made you get into voice acting in the first place? How did it all start?
Well, I did a lot of theater, but I mean, I could go even further than that. I did when I was 6, no, 4. My dad taught me how to do Donald Duck, and he just did voices for fun, right? But once he saw that I could do Donald Duck, he said, "Okay, now try Mickey Mouse and all these other voices." And then it was just fun. I was just doing all these cartoon voices, and I always dreamed of being a cartoon voice actor, but
Mhm.
that was impossible because I lived in Texas and there were no studios back then in Texas, and I didn't plan on leaving. But when I got into high school, I found I was really good at theater. I was one of those theater jocks who always won awards every time I went to something. And the same thing happened in college. I was there on a full tuition scholarship. Um, but I just thought I was going to be a theater professor, and I would just live for theater and that would be my life. Um, and then I got a comic book story published, and I dropped out of college and focused on comics for about 10 years. And then I started getting the acting bug again. So I started doing theater in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and Funimation at this time moved to Texas and had open auditions for Dragon Ball Z. And a friend of mine who I knew from the theater scene, she auditioned, but she didn't get a part. But she was a friend of Chris Sabat's, who was one of the people holding the audition. And she said, I got you an audition there. You need to do this. And I went, okay. So I auditioned. I got the part of Krillin. And I thought it was great. I thought it was a fad, though. I didn't think that, anime would last that long. I just thought it was really cool, and I would be on TV for a few minutes, and then that would be it, right? But Cartoon Network really liked what I did with Krillin and asked me to audition for their robot host Toonami Tom, who's like for their whole network. And so I auditioned, I got that part, and then I was like, I think I stumbled onto a career here in voice acting. It was a complete accident, not anything I tried for or expected. and it's also helped me get myself published more. Um, I met Wendy Peeney, the creator of ElfQuest, a book that I read in high school. She was a fan of Dragon Ball Z, and I met her at a Comic-Con in San Diego, and she started drawing pictures of our characters with her characters. And I went, well, I'm going to surprise her because she doesn't know I'm a published cartoonist. So I drew her main character with our characters and gave it to her, and she hired me on the spot to draw ElfQuest.
Wow.
And then I felt at that point, I think I was 35 at that point, but I felt that my artwork had hit a ceiling. So I asked her if I could change the terms, and she said, "Do you want more money?" And I went, "No, I want to be your apprentice. I want to work under you and study under you." And she goes, well, "Okay, move out to LA and you can, work in my studio." And I thought there's no way I could do that, right? Because I'm on Dragon Ball Z. How am I going to do this? She said, "Just fly back and record." And so I asked Funimation if it'd be okay if I just flew back once a month and recorded it, and they agreed. They didn't expect me to come back, but I did every month because even at that early stage, I knew that Dragon Ball Z was a was going somewhere at that point. This is 2 years into it, right?
Yeah.
If once and so I went to her studio and I studied under her. I drew a page a day, and she would look at it and she'd say, "This works, this doesn't, and this is why." And it was the greatest learning experience of my life. And then we became fast friends after that. She was even the best man at my wedding. And then about 7 years ago, she was doing something called the Final Quest, which was supposed to be the final ElfQuest story.
Hmm.
And Dark Horse said you could have any colorist you want. And she said, "Well, I want Sonny Strait." And they said, "Who's that?" And I said, "He's the voice of Krillin." And she went, "What?" And so she sent him some of the samples that I had done on, I think, DeviantArt. And so I got the job as a colorist there at Dark Horse for, gosh, it lasted about 5 years. And then she wanted to do one more story, but she didn't want to draw it. So she asked me if I would draw and color it. And I started drawing and coloring it, and she started giving me notes about how she wanted the placement of the characters and stuff like this. And I said, "You know what? Why don't you just do the rough layouts, and then I will do the pencils and inks on top of it and the colors on top of that." And she goes, "Oh, good." I said, "What?" She goes, "I've been drawing the roughs anyway." And I said, "You just been keeping them?" And she goes, "Yes, I didn't want to step on your toes." I went, "Give them to me." I said, "You give me whatever you want, and I'll make sure it turns into ElfQuest by the end."
Cool. Oh, that's fantastic. And you've done so much work in the cartoon and drawing artist industry. Do you still enjoy
Mhm.
it?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Cool.
My last book came out last year at Dark Horse. It's ElfQuest Stargazer's Hunt, Volume 2. Um, Currently, I'm working on another story. It's going to take some development. It's been developing for a few years, since the pandemic, actually. But this is the way it always works for me. Like my first graphic novel I had published at Tokyo Pop was a story I've been developing for 10. It was actually three different stories that just sort of combined into one graphic novel. And that's happening now. I've got two different ideas, and I was trying to figure out what to do with one, and then I realized, oh, if you combine this idea with this one, it's going to work out great. So probably, I'm thinking probably next year it'll come out.
Exciting. And where can people find that once it's released? Just anywhere.
I have no idea. I
Okay.
might self-publish. I might go through like Image or something, or might even try Dark Horse again. That would be kind of cool.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that as well.
Mhm.
That's cool. You're a very talented person, and your social media as well is freaking awesome. I love how regular you are on it, and the fun stuff you post is just, yeah, big thumbs up from me and a lot of other people. You're very good at social media.
You gotta, it's part of your job now when you're an entertainer, though, right? I told Wendy, I feel like I have a comic strip, a daily comic strip, because I got to come up with some kind of material like on a regular basis. I
Hmm.
don't do it every day, but most days I come up with something. And then I got on TikTok recently because Ian Sinclair, the voice of Brooke, talked me into it. And it is the best algorithm of any social media site. It's amazing. I just had one that it's now at like 1.7 million views. That's
Yep.
insane.
I know.
Nothing else I've done comes close to that.
I know, I love that video, and yeah, I saw you comment. You made another video about it, and I look
Mm.
back and like, what the heck? Yeah, it brings the right people to your page. And
Yeah,
did
but
that?
even like the ones that are like really small views on there are still bigger than anything on Twitter I get or anything I get on Facebook. Instagram, Instagram, I get a little bit. Sometimes I get more likes, or at
Mhm.
least close to the same likes I get on TikTok. But nothing gets the views of TikTok. It just knows where to find the people you want to find.
It does. And did it boost your following? That video must have boosted your following quite
I, I'm
significantly.
I gotta say it has because I heard so many people say, "Hey, I saw you on TikTok. I saw you. Oh, I saw you. You're drawing just like you did on TikTok." You know, because I draw on everything I sign.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it's working.
Do you still do those Friday night? I couldn't find it anywhere. Those
Sketchapalooza.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I haven't done that in years.
Oh.
The problem was when the first time I did it, it sold out like in a second.
Hmm.
And I said, well, I'll increase the number, increase the price. Sold out in a second.
Hmm.
And then eventually I got to start people getting because I could only do like 30 on a weekend, you know, and that was just taking up my whole weekend.
Mm.
And people started getting angry because they couldn't get on there fast enough, right? Um, so I said, okay, one time I will take as many orders as I can get in an hour.
Okay.
And that was the biggest mistake of my life. I was drawing on that stuff for years. I was trying to make up those, and I still don't know if I got all of them. I keep saying, asking people, is this done now? Does everyone have their sketch? Because it was a first of all an organizational nightmare for me. That alone was the hard part, but then also just finding time to draw that many requests. So I
Mm.
haven't done it now. What I have done, I did this in this pandemic, especially when everybody's locked down. I just started taking requests and I would just draw the ones I liked, you
Mhm.
know, and just
Mhm.
post them
Mhm.
instead of giving them out. I would just draw them and show them just to entertain people, but not for money or anything.
Yeah, that keeps it fun, I'm sure.
Hmm.
Okay, well, the next point of the podcast is a bit of an Instagram deep dive. Now, what
Okay.
the heck is going on here, Sonny?
That's one of my, that might be my first Instagram or close to it.
It is. That's
Uh, I
why,
was,
yeah.
I was with Chris Sabat in an airport and I said, I need to do something for my Instagram. And Chris walked over to that sign. He said, "Hey, Sonny, look." And he turned and grabbed his chest while he's sitting next to that sign.
Okay, yeah, well, that's and his facial expression's perfect as well. He looks like he
Hmm.
works out. That chest must be pretty hard. He looks like
Yeah,
he
it's
works.
harder than mine, that's for sure.
All right, final thing to do on the
Okay.
podcast is a bit of a scene improv. And this is my first time trying this, but I couldn't waste the opportunity. So could you let's say I am a person that is learning how to dance, and you explain to me in Koro-Sensei's voice how to do your favorite dance move.
Okay, let's practice here now. What's your name?
My name is Riley.
Riley. Okay, Riley, welcome to the dance class. All right, first I need you to extend one of your left tentacles out and grab my right tentacle with it.
Okay,
All right,
yeah,
now
got it.
I'm going to lead. Now don't worry that there's going to be about 15 tentacles rubbing your back. Might accidentally brace your butt, but just let me know and I'll move it ever so slowly. And a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3,
Lovely.
1, 2, 3. We're waltzing,
Wow.
baby. We're waltzing.
is is that is that a chalkboard in your pocket? No, I love that. That was great. All right, next one. Usopp talking about New Zealand and how he's probably the king or prime minister.
How he's the king or prime minister?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And maybe I can be just a random. I'll just be a random uh, traveler asking him. So you've been to New Zealand before, yeah?
Oh, yeah, I've been to New Zealand. As a matter of fact, I own New Zealand.
Ah,
I've Yes, I bought New Zealand a few years ago. It was a good price, actually. It was during the pandemic, nothing was open. So I thought this is a good time to swoop in and buy all the real estate, the entire country of New Zealand.
Brilliant. That's
I'm gonna
great.
make myself king. I'm gonna have a cool little hat.
Yeah.
That's a crown, but it's gonna look more like a baseball cap with points.
Okay. Okay. I love it. I love it. That's great. And Usopp does look a little bit Maori as well. So in a way, I
Yeah,
know,
he
so
does
he,
kind of look Maori. He's kind of.
yeah.
It's hard to tell what race he is. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, especially in the
Somebody
second.
said on TikTok they were upset that because that when they found out that I'm Usopp, he says, "Why are you white? Like, what am I supposed to be?" Uh,
No, Usopp is, yeah, he's incredible.
I
And
believe Usopp is South African. I believe
really,
that's true. Yeah.
yes, I've heard that as well. I've heard Oda say that. So Usopp is
Mm-hmm.
actually my brother. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but
No,
yeah, my
your
brother.
brother have a really long nose.
He does. He does. Yeah. My one, yeah, no, I'm wearing, I got a nose job to remove it. And final
Everybody in
one.
South Africa has these Pinocchio noses.
Have you been?
No, I've never been to South Africa. I would like to go though.
Yeah, we do have Pinocchio noses. Krillin giving a speeding ticket. So,
Okay.
oh, sorry, officer. You pulled me over. What was I doing?
Oh, do I really have to tell you what you were doing? I mean, come on, man. You were going 150 in a 60-mile-an-hour zone.
Just so you know, I'm recording this. So
Okay. Okay. You can record it. I know your rights. You know my rights. But guess what? I can move so fast you cannot catch it. So unless you don't want to be pulling things out of places you don't know, and you'll have no evidence against me because the camera can't catch it. But don't worry, I'll give you a sensu bean after, so the pain will be less.
thank you so much. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Move along. Nothing else to see here, people.
I think he'd be a good officer. I think he'd never be corrupt. I don't think Krillin could be a corrupt police officer.
No, he wouldn't. No.
No, well, thank you so much, Sonny. You are incredible. You're a great talent. You're one of my idols and my daughter's idol as well. And I appreciate your time and your work and everything you do. And we all do. You're incredible. In New Zealand, we love you. Well, you need to come back here and sleep on my couch or something.
I would love to come back to New Zealand. It's been too long.
Cool. All right. Well, have a great day, Sonny. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. There goes Riley.